All right, today we have an interesting milestone to cover, and that is the 1-year anniversary of the 2016 election. You know, I saw an interesting headline just moments ago in Washington Post. I didn't get a chance to read it before I sat down to talk to you, and I figure it's probably better that I didn't read it first because I don't want anyone else's opinion influencing my own. But the headline is, I'm paraphrasing, but it's saying the election that never ended. And that's what it seems like, because we continue hearing a lot about the president, just as much now as we did leading up to Election Day. His opponent, Hillary Clinton, often talked about how he was unfit, and then right after Election Day, when Hillary Clinton lost, then the discussion became about Russia and any collusion. And that was the reason that the Clinton campaign gave for her losing the election. And she's even written a book, and she's continued to try to explain why she lost the election. And it doesn't have anything to do with Russia. There's many number of reasons why. The whole argument about collusion is not really going anywhere 1 year later. So they're now talking about him being unfit again and being confused and whatnot. So it just seems like it's been going on forever. Now, before I go further into the election, and also a discussion of elections over time, I want to talk about prior elections as well, because this is really the first opportunity that I can sit down and talk to you in depth about it. You know, this election occurred before I started doing these recordings, so I'm sure I would have covered it at the time, but the anniversary does give me an excuse to get into it again. But I did want to say, I did want to make a comment about something that happened last week, and that is the unfortunate the terrorist attack that happened in New York, where 8 people died. I've not really done any reading on the subject, and I probably could speak more intelligently on it if I did. I just picked up bits and pieces on the morning news as I was getting ready to go to work. But my understanding is 8 people died. There was a Home Depot truck that was rented and used to drive it into a bunch of pedestrians. And I think the person got out and then was armed and was going to shoot people. But I think he was taken down by the police, and he survived his injuries. And it's wild. You know, I recorded a video just a few weeks ago where I reflected on what had happened in Las Vegas. Called it Wild Wild West. Check it out if you haven't already. And the end of the video got lost. It was recorded separately and deleted. So, but I did type out some information for you to read at the end of the video. And I said, because I was talking about gun control, and I was talking about how people will always find a way to kill masses of people. And one thing I had said was, now cars are being used, and buses and trucks and whatever the terrorists can get their hands on to kill as many people as possible, they're going to use. They don't need guns. So, and lo and behold, now this happened in New York, and it happened without really gunfire. I mean, these people died because they were killed by this pickup truck, or this Home Depot truck that the terrorist was driving. But it has brought up the issue of immigration again, because the person that the perpetrator is from Uzbekistan, which wasn't wasn't included as one of the countries on the travel ban. But if you think back to the beginning of the year, one of the first things the president tried to do, one of the first campaign promises he tried to keep, was the implementation of this travel ban. And he has been, the plan has been rejected by court judges, and now we have this. So it just, even though that country wasn't included on the travel ban, it just goes to show that we need extreme vetting. I mean, these people really need to be checked out before they are allowed into this country. And if we can't verify who they are, what their background is all about, then they shouldn't get in. Now, after this has happened, the president says he wants to do away with the diversity visa. And that allows people into the country just for the sake of diversity. And my understanding is this was something that was passed that George H.W. Bush signed into law, and it was a bill that I guess was introduced into Congress by Chuck Schumer and Ted Kennedy at the time. So now President Trump wants to do away with the diversity visa, and it also leads to what we're now calling chain immigration, where people are allowed into this country on a diversity visa, and then they are allowed to bring in their uncles and aunts and siblings and children and parents, and though all those people are in turn are able to bring in their family members, and it goes on and on. So that's what I've heard, that's how it works. He wants to do away with that. He wants to do it with the diversity visas. And, that's what you do. I mean, you don't make speeches, okay? Well, you make speeches, but you back it up with action. And this is something that he wants to do. We need to get serious. This is not about being racial or trying to keep people out of the country just because we don't like who they are. It's about trying to protect ourselves, all right? And I understand that is not going to be the end-all be-all to the problem that we have in this country with violence, but we got to begin somewhere, and we got to do a lot of things. I had a conversation yesterday with my friend who's opposed to the president's idea of building a wall on the southern border. And the president is talking about that again. Now, during the campaign, he talked about having Mexico pay for it. That isn't being discussed. Now, who knows? Maybe we will pay for it, but maybe we will be reimbursed somehow by the Mexican people later on down the road. If that doesn't happen, then he has broken that part of the promise. But he has kept his promise to build the wall, and that, if he builds the wall, then he would have kept that part of the promise. And it's important because it's going to slow down, the drugs coming into this country, the people coming in illegally. Again, it's not the solution, but it's part of the solution. So everything that we can do, we need to do. Instead of picking on everything he is saying and saying, that's not going to work, there's still other ways around it, and, just bits and pieces. Do all these little things until you can suppress the problem as much as possible. And the problem may never go away, but you can't just throw your hands up in the air and say that isn't the magic bullet, because there is no magic bullet. But anyway, I don't want to keep harping on that. I do want to talk about the election last year. Like I said, it hasn't ended. It keeps going on, and the reason is because the Clinton campaign has egg on their face. They've been humiliated. They're embarrassed that this person came out of nowhere to become president. So, and now there's also a lot of people, a lot of citizens who are also going along with that and going along with the here and the media, because the media was also very pro-Hillary, and everybody is a little embarrassed, because everybody wants to be on the winning team. It's like football, and politics is a lot more complicated than that. All right, it's not a game. It's not about being on the winning team. It's about picking the right person for the job. And during the primaries, President Trump was always doing well. He always was. It was very different than in 2012 when Mitt Romney was a nominee, because in 2012 there was a flavor of the week. There was a period of time when he was doing well. There was a period of time when Rick Santorum was doing well. There was a while where I forget the former CEO of Godfather's Pizza. I don't even remember his name right now. There was a period of time when he was doing well. There was a period of time when Newt Gingrich was doing well. Everybody got their moment in the sun in 2012. 2016, it wasn't like that. There was 17 candidates, and the one that I first threw my support behind was Rick Walker, or Governor Walker. I know it's Walker, of Wisconsin. I was just impressed with him. He was someone that they tried to remove from office. No matter what they did to him, he hung in there, and he continued leading the state of Wisconsin. And then I was just impressed by him. And then when he started debating, I was like, wow, this guy's a real dullard. I'm sorry. There wasn't anything wrong with what he said. He just did not excite me. So then I threw my support behind Carly Fiorina. And there it remained until the very end. But during that entire time, Donald Trump was up in the polls. And I was horrified. I would listen to him speak, and it was like, this guy is not a polished speaker. He doesn't sound presidential. And I would go on to Facebook and say, people, what are you thinking? Now most of my friends on Facebook were, pro Bernie Sanders, and a lot of them were also Hillary supporters, but nobody was really interested in the Republican primaries as I was. And I just didn't understand it. And then when it came time to vote in Florida, by that time, Carly Fiorina remained on the ballot, but she had already dropped out. And I believed that Marco Rubio, Florida senator, was our best bet in trying to stop Trump. So I went and I voted for Marco Rubio. Didn't work. I believe Donald Trump still won Florida. So after that happened, I was like, that is it. I have had it. I am leaving. I was a registered Republican always. As soon as I became old enough to register, I registered Republican because I just believed that they had a better platform. And but it just seems over the years it's been a lot of talk and no action. And not only that, but they never picked my candidate. I did not want Donald Trump. We got Donald Trump. I did not want Mitt Romney in 2012. We got Mitt Romney. I wanted Newt Gingrich. And in 2008, I did not want John McCain. I wanted Rudy Giuliani. We got John McCain. So I just feel like I didn't have anything in common with the Republican Party. And so when I moved and it became time to re-register, I just decided to drop political affiliation, and it's been better for me. I think it's, I've been able to be a little bit more open-minded in my approach to analyzing the issues. But before that, in 2006 was it 2006? It was 2004. 2004 and 2000. George W. Bush was president. I don't think I ever had a problem with his nomination or his leadership, but I did get a little annoyed with him probably around 2006 with his position on immigration. And then things really started going downhill the last 2 years of his presidency. And I think a lot of that also has to do with that whole compassionate conservatism of his, and also the Democrats also taking over Congress. So, but before that, Bill Clinton was president, who I supported in '92 because I was really disappointed with George H.W. Bush. I initially was supporting Ross Perot. When I came to the realization that there was no way he could win, then I threw my support behind Bill Clinton, who I believe was the lesser of the two evils. I was upset with George H.W. Bush, mainly over, rising fuel costs. I wasn't old enough to vote. I just missed the '88 election. I wasn't able to vote in that one, and I would have probably voted for him because it was I saw it as a continuation of the Reagan years, which I thought were very good. And but he lied about taxes, and I understand he did what he thought was best, but when you're so adamant about not raising taxes, probably something he shouldn't have done. But that's not what bothered me so much. It was just I think I was already driving at the time, or if not, still what the fuel prices was doing to my family. I mean, I remember gas prices being, I think they went up to, they were around $2 a gallon. I don't know if they were $2.50. Around $2 a gallon, and now that's good. But sometimes the fuel prices drop even lower than that. Not that often, but think about it. Today, 2017, gas prices sometimes hover around $2. So imagine back in 1989. That was what, 30 years ago or so. That was that was a very high price for back then. So anyhow. I was disappointed with President Trump getting the nomination. It was down between him and Hillary Clinton. I wasn't willing to support her. And I'm glad she's not president. And now he is president. And I am not thrilled. But he seems to be making an effort to keep his promises. And I understand why he was elected. Hillary Clinton ignored states like Wisconsin and Pennsylvania and Michigan because she thought she had it in the bag. She didn't have to go there. She didn't have to talk to those people. She would get their votes anyway. So she took them for granted. So she lost those 3 states. She didn't do much campaigning. Donald Trump was campaigning all the time. And the man never slept. He went everywhere, talked to everyone, told people, what do you have to lose? Hillary Clinton's making the same promises her party has been making for 50, 60 years, and your lives have not been any better. So give someone else a chance. And after the 8 years that we've had, and things have pretty much stagnated, people were really ready for a change. People hadn't seen a raise in many, many years. Everybody was just kind of like skating by. And, we wanted a change. And I think the people decided we are going to deny the politicians in Washington this job. They have taken us for granted for too long. We're going to take an outsider and put him in the White House. And that will show them that their jobs are none too safe. The problem is they now really resent that he's there, and they're going to try to prevent him from doing well. So I spoke to a friend last week who's living in a home where everyone supported Hillary. So of course they're always watching CNN, and he's always hearing the Trump bashing, and it's wearing him out. He told me, I voted for him, but, you know, now he has buyer's remorse. You know, he wouldn't do it again. And I told him, you know, we're all supposed to abandon him. We're all supposed to stop supporting him. That is what the media wants. Because if we don't support him, then the politicians are not going to work with him. If we do support him, they are going to work with him in passing his agenda. He can't do it alone. All right, there's a lot of things that he's tried, that he's done on his own. He's done a lot of things by executive order. He's also talked a good talk, and that has influenced that's influenced business to make decisions that are helping the economy. But after a while, without an act of Congress, you know, eventually the business people are going to start getting a little worried, and they're going to retract and stop investing and hiring and doing all that good stuff. So we need, you know, for better or for worse, he's the president now. We just, you know, we need to support him. If he doesn't do a good job, then we'll get him out in 3 or 4 years. But the election is over. Now I understand people are also resentful towards the president because they say that he has, you know, he comes from the business world and he has all these business dealings in Russia and all these other countries, and he's become president for self-interest. The same thing could have been said about Hillary Clinton. All right, she had that Clinton Foundation. There was all kinds of donations going into that. There was a lot of shady things that she was doing that wasn't covered during the campaign. And you can choose to believe it or not, that's fine. All I'm saying is that a lot of these people go in there and they have self-interest. All these politicians, okay, they get the votes for us, we put them into the office. But it's the donor class, it's the donors, the people that are giving them money that control what they do. All right, and President Trump was himself a donor. All right, so of course he was giving money to Republicans and Democrats before he became president. So obviously he wanted to have certain things done, and now he's in Washington doing all those things himself. And I know, you know, that might bother you, but the important thing is, what were his campaign promises? Is he making an effort to implement those promises? And so far it seems that he's trying, and there's a lot of people standing in the way. So if you were in favor of law and order and immigration reform and repeal and replace Obamacare, he's your only hope to get that stuff done. So you gotta be supportive, all right, and see that he does it. And don't worry so much about what he's doing for himself, okay? No system is perfect. Money corrupts people. People go to Washington, they become corrupted. So it's going to happen, all right? So we do the best we can with the cards that we're dealt with, all right? So I know I was a little long-winded today, and I appreciate you sticking around to hear me to the end. If you did, thank you.